Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Behind the News on The Nation TV, a show where we discuss some of the key events, key reports on some of our daily newspapers in this country. My name is Damola, and with me today is our distinguished in-house analyst and political commentator, Mr. Olakunle Abimbola. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Damola. How are you?
Very fine, sir. It's good to be with you today to discuss some of these things.
Same here.
I'll read some of the reports from the newspapers for today. For the Nation newspaper, the front page story reads, "Renewed onslaught against bandits, terrorists excites Tinubu." The rider reads, "Troops kill bandits, Bastudi. Woman collaborator also sentenced to death." Another report here is, "Respite for ADC accord 3 others." The rider reads, "Court of Appeal grants stay of judgment execution. INEC back parties' prayers before appellate courts." For the Punch newspaper, we have Mark slams FG after appeal court reverses ADC deregistration. Relief for ADC, 4 parties as appeal court upturns High Court judgment. Atiku ADC orders tackle judiciary demand NGC probe. INEC hailed for opposing controversial judgment. And for the New Telegraph, we have the registration of parties, Justice Lifu's actions, and affront to court hierarchy, the appeal court. The rider reads, "Stay execution of judgment against ADC, 4 others." So, sir, today we see that some of the main reports are about the deregistration of some of the parties by the Federal High Court in Abuja yesterday. We saw that the appeal court has ordered a stay of execution of this judgment. And for some of our Nigerians who are ignorant about this topic, can you share what your thoughts are on them?
Well, there's really not more to share. I mean, there was a court judgment. I think it was Justice Lifu who decided that based on the information, the facts he had, some 5 parties, including ADC, forfeited their right to be called political party because they did not win a certain number of percentage. He ruled that they have forfeited their rights. Of course, that came on the will of the Court of Appeal, which was another strange order, which they call the arrest of judgment. A court has decided to set a day for judgment. Then there was an appeal at the appeal court, and they said the government should be frozen on the look at the appeals. When that one came, there were a lot of worry even in the judicial corridor that, look, arresting judgment verdicts is unjudicial. Now, if you have a cause to state anything, and then let the court give its own judgment. Then in the judgment or the wisdom of the appeal court, perhaps if the court had passed a judgment, it should have affected the case. So these are judicial rumbling and all that. And the latest is that the appeal court was affronted by the alleged disobedience to his court. But the judge was saying that nobody brought that thing officially to his notice. You read it in the newspapers, and you don't take actions on the basis of newspaper. So there are a lot of things that you don't really know. Now, when you report news like this, you have to be wary of politicians. They want to force on you their own opinion, whether right or wrong. I'll give you an example. INEC went to court supporting this party that they should not be deregistered. INEC is just a regulator. They have no dog in the fight, But when they got to the court, they said, no, I don't think the claims of this, what they call it, is it the people who sued, the plaintiff or the plaintiff. I don't. They didn't think their claims were right, and they barred the parties. Now, when the court ruled, INEC refused, to.
They refused the judgment.
No, they didn't refuse. Of course, they couldn't have refused the judgment, but the lawyer of INEC was on the side
of the parties.
So, by the way, INEC was backing the parties on that position. But don't forget, the ADC, when the court said that they should go back to status quo antebellum, when they were fighting who was the real owner of ADC. They went all out by saying that INEC was the devil, that they should sack the chairman, Nigeria should do this, the democracy had gone bad again and all that. Yeah, now the same INEC has backed ADC.
And now they are in support of them.
So we don't know whether ADC is where INEC is still the devil. Right now, Mark is going to federal government. What are federal government to do with the judicial something? Yeah. So you see people make a lot of asinine claims in the heart of the matter, in the heat of the matter, with the hope that they are going to, their dean or what they want, whether right or not, is going to, crowd out reasonable voices. Yeah. So this is what we are saying. So I'll say that until we get enough facts on the matter, I really don't want to comment yes or no. But what I do know is that a judge has ruled. There are few people that felt affronted. Let's have all the investigation, and whoever is guilty or whatever is found to be a bit slack in his duty to be punished. But as at now, I really want to say yes or no, except beyond the facts that we have in the public space.
The appeal court will still sit on the matter. There have been a 3-member panel that has been set for this particular case, and we will continue to have conversations about them. Also, we saw that, as I said, there have been claims by some of the members of the ADC, David Mark and the likes, about, maybe there's a federal government, all of these conspiracies and agendas that different kinds of people have. Also, we looked at how, for insecurity in Nigeria, there have been some progress in Kogi State and also in Katsina State as well, where troops killed a bandit leader, and there also was a woman who collaborates with bandits and kidnappers was sentenced to death. Do you have some thoughts on this progress and how it helps?
Well, banditry is filled of, is filled of emotions, and rightly so. Yeah. When you get a kid or king kidnapped, you don't reason. You don't do reason. You do emotions. Yeah. That's how we are wired, and it's just unfortunate. Of course, while you are doing your emotions, the government is thinking out of the box. The reason how you can get this in the everyone out of the jam. But ironically, it's in that critical time that the victims are hurting. They are not going to support the government, no matter what government does. Because until you get the people, nobody believes you are doing any jack. Yeah. You are doing jack. That is on. So it's a very unfortunate opportunity. But I always say to people, in terms of numbers, raw numbers, terrorism has dropped. And it didn't just drop today. Even as far as Buhari was there, it has dropped. What we have is spread, diffusion. If something is different, it doesn't mean that it's the same number is the death of the concentrated one that is just the light, and it's a lighter danger. But because it's eating new areas, hitherto untouched, which has its own logical explanation, I'll tell you. Now, if you have the hot theater of war, and the forces are dealing with the bandits, terrorists, and all that, many of them will escape with their small arms, which, by the way, is the most, how do I put it, is the driver of danger in sub-Saharan Africa now. People with that Kalashnikov, little grenade and all that, they take it and they terrorize people who are defenseless and all that. So you take your small arms, you go to unprotected territory, and by the way, this is the time of state police. You don't have enough boots on the ground to protect them. So there are many ungoverned territories, which used to be really pleasure. You could go there and relax and forget about government. Now it's danger. So you go to that place, you start to terrorize people, kidnap. When you kidnap, you raise money, and because people cannot call their bluff, and people could call the bluff, like, look, we are not going to give you a dime. But that's not impossible, because when they seize one of yours, your normal instinct, your reflex is, let's get this out, no matter what. When they collect money, they go and rebuild themselves.
They reinforce
their bigger danger.
Yeah.
So that is the cycle that have been ruling, in the banditry kidnapping front. But I dare say the government is trying its best within the circumstance, even though some of these things were self-inflicted. I mentioned state police, and when I hear people discuss state police on radio, television, and all that, you see people are just crippled by their fear. Maybe rightly so, emotionally. In the First Republic, there was a huge abuse of state police. We were three regions then: the West, the North, and the East. The East never had any regional police or whatever, so they were dealing with the Nigerian police because Abimbola region. The West had regional police. The North didn't only have regional police; they had native authority police. That thing was abused so badly in the North, particularly the Akali native authority police. They were oppressive role, against the political opposition. In the West, it was abused too. I wouldn't know whether it was abused when Action Group was war. Like people say, Jalode Torindowe, it's only a scuffle that turns Inokwa song into biting proverbs, And I don't know if that captures the hit of the proverb. But the thing is, when Akitola felt under the demo, Nigerian National Democratic Party, they call them demo. When they fairly press, they unleash the regional police, freeing political opponents, going to bomb people out and all that. So when the military overthrew the government on January 15, 1966, the military came and said, no more of this nonsense, no more regional police, no more anything police, it will be Nigerian police, unitary police. Everybody heard it because people were tired.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, when they started, the military themselves, they started under developing the police because they didn't want a counter force against their own dictatorship. So between 1966 and 2026, the Nigerian police, as you used to know it in 1966, is just a caricature, of what it was. So the federal police, the Nigerian police force we have it now, is a joke. They don't have the numbers, they don't have the brand equity, they don't have the trust.
The jurisdiction is also.
So if you don't have the numbers, you don't have enough boots on the ground. And that is why people are setting up civilian distrust. And because the military over the year had underdeveloped the police, that is why the military are getting involved with this internal peacekeeping. If the police are being trained, developed according to their capacity, they might still need some cooperation and partnership with the army, but not be on this scale. So by destroying the police, the potential of the police as we knew it, the military themselves are giving themselves what they ought not to have been doing now. And that's why when you do something very bad, part of it will come back to haunt you. So that's where we are now. So if you had enough boots on the ground, some of those police places will have been mad. And it needn't even get to kidnapping or terrorism because they have intelligence. People there, they know people. When they see a stranger, they spot it, you report to the authorities. And when you do that, they set up the security, the apparatus and all that. And you need the guy, you need the thing on the board before it even happens. If you had that, you will not have this criminality promoted into banditry. Because what is banditry? Banditry started when, by the way, the Yoruba have a program. That one cynical say, Gambari Fulani could legend that an Hausa guy killed a Fulani man.
There's
no issue. They are killing themselves. But you see, banditry started with the Hausa guy, with the Gambari, stealing the cow or the Fulani, and the Fulani didn't have any protection from the state. They sought, they took the weapons, and that was why Shegumi has always said that I need to listen to these guys. They were reacting to mass kill, injustice. And when you talk of cattle rustling, it's not that stealing one or two cows. It's packing away cattle in trailers, without no state remedy. I don't know how that one happened, but there was a study by Bayero University, Kano, one of the scholars, they did a study, and that was how banditry started. So you see what is happening now in banditry was a reaction to crime that became big time criminality. Of course, terrorism is that one is ideological. Boko Haram,
Yeah.
Western education is civil, and all that, and all that, and all that. So that's what we are in the south here. What you have, which most people are not seeing, is that people who do normal armed robbery. What's armed robbery? You go to the bank, you bring your boy, you catch away the money, or you attack a house.
Yeah.
You say, where is the money? Where is jewelry? Where is the something? You take it. Right now, they are going to seize, a soft target and use the emotions to corral money from the pocket of. I don't know if your generation you don't use that. You've not read the gymnasium. That was a novel. A World to Stay Alive, Poctolo. So I found the secret to price open pockets, and that was kidnapping, and that was in Florida in the United States. So you have this criminality, over and over the place. What we have now is an epidemic.
Yeah.
An epidemic that could have been averted if the state had taken prompt action. And I'm not referring to even the start of Boko Haram itself. I said if the military had not underdeveloped the police,
Yeah.
you'll not be in danger. Now, after 1999, if the people between 1999 and 2015 had not played politics with state police, you will have had enough, at least more sufficient books on the ground so that we will have curtailed this thing. But as it is, we've had a monster in our hands. We are not going to lie down and let it slaughter us.
Yeah.
We will fight back, and I think that's what the government is doing. And I think, despite our pains, our sorrows, our woes, the thinking part of us should give the government some, encourage them, and know that they are doing whatever they could to stem the epidemic.
Yeah, some very great points there, sir. Especially the diffusion points. I think a lot of Nigerians now, in many places that, these banditry kidnappings were not as alarming, they have now become cases. We hope, and our hope, and I'm sure it's your hope also, sir, that the government is able to tackle these issues, reduce them drastically, even as they've been doing, that the state police discussion that is in the National Assembly will also be passed, and there will be progress there. Also, there's a report in the Nation newspaper this morning about the new book by General Abdulsalam Abubakar, where he spoke about the 1999 Constitution and how it was drafted. Do you have some thoughts about that, sir?
Well, military will be through. Me, I'm very happy about the military because let me qualify that. When I was very small, I loved the government of Yakubu Gowon because he took care of me. Let me tell you how. We were in a very poor neighborhood on Lagos Island, and we had these food vendors come to cheat us, quality, low quality, and low quantity too. And whatever you were giving, it was not enough to buy a decent meal. So the government took over and gave us for, I think, £1 15 shillings. Oh, no, not £1, no. Maybe 15 shillings, I can't remember. And that would be £1 50 kobo today if you convert to naira. You had the government take over the entire feeding on Lagos Island. I don't know if you was part of a different team because public primary schools, and they are giving us good food. They give us farm milk, they give us fruits. In fact, barley cold as jollof rice was the first time in school that I took it. So I had a very fond memory of Gowon. But of course, military rule is still military rule. Even the best of them are military rule. But the people that came after Murtala is a hero of his sort. Then his impetuosity, he destroyed a lot of things. He wants to fix them, like this guy said. This guy who wrote "Pass it to him" there. What's his name now? He said the military, they solve one problem and they leave 1,000 others killed. That for me is military rule in Nigeria. Abubakar is one of the few. I mean, Gowon to me was above Murtala meant well. Obasanjo is a grand pretender, he's an eternal pretender. So that one, he just what is in it for him. That's what he wants. He doesn't, although he pretend to be holier than thou. The Buhari came. Buhari was the first major draconian military rule in Nigeria. Then Obasanjo, Babangida came. That one is a rat that bites you, blows you. You don't feel it's destroying you, and it's far more dangerous than the Buhari in government. The Abacha was the worst of all. That one was a thief, a destroyer, a, a I don't even know the adjective to give for him. It was the what the lowest point of military rule. Of course, Abubakar was something of a savior. He was smart enough to know that this guy, if he didn't act fast, there would be a time people will be marching against the army and they would disgrace them totally. So he had this rush transition system. He said people are saying that they wrote the constitution, that Nikki Tobi wrote the constitution. He said it's not true. That it was, they went back to, that was a 1995 constitutional draft. They said that one will not fly. So it was a contagion by Abacha and his junta rascals that they had to go back to 1979, and there was a sort of majority decision on that was more reasonable. And he said it wasn't as if it was a military dictatorship, military decree, like they all call it. But Nigerians took, and he made the point that even some of those people who featured on that 1979 convention, who ran for offices under it, are not criticizing the hypocrisy of it, which is partly true. But to me, military rule is a disaster. Any country under military rule is unfortunate, and that's why these jokers are Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali. They are saying themselves, go and put me back. Call me, what's today's date? They will still come back. I've been known. Because they've frozen their development. This rascal, what was his name? The Burkina Faso guys running propaganda on Twitter and all that. We've gone through this. If you live under military rule, as I have, you hate everybody. We don't hate the military. Professional military, they are protectors. We support them. Our problem is the political military. Those soldiers who want to join politics but still want to remain in khaki, we should kick them to the Atlantic Ocean and bury them there.
Yeah. I think for some of our generation that didn't really experience the military rule, there's this imagination that we have of it that some people might even go as far as to say they prefer it, something they've not lived on.
It's just colorful ignorance. Yeah, nothing like that. It's colorful ignorance. Any country ruled by military rule is unfortunate. This is simple and it's logical. A lot of, if when people complain that National Assembly they are any money, they are doing this, this education is expensive. Try ignorance now. You see, if you want to, what you are born today, you want to be free, you roam about and all that, you end up being a liberal or whatever. Somebody that goes to school, he sacrifices his time. The parents sacrifice the money. And the child, remember the first time I was school, I didn't like it. My mother used to drive me that, okay, if you go to school, I'm going to buy. After my first days in school, then later if you pass, I'm going to buy this. So the first exam I passed, but you say you're going to give me this. She just ignored me. So you have to deprive yourself of this pristine, childlike or childhood comfort if you want to be somebody in life. So if somebody says you want to stay there, that's ignorant. I will try at the right time, the difference. So if you say people went this and that, I say okay. When you meet you were there, nobody even knew what they were spending. It's what they show you. No parliament, nobody could challenge them, and they are saving a lot of money. A lot. So their era is better confined to to hell that it belongs to. It will not happen again, by God's will.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your time today, sir. We hope that the viewers will enjoy some of the conversations that we've had today about some of the news reports that have come out for today's newspaper. We'll catch you in the next show. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.